Democratic strategist Julian Epstein, a Clinton supporter, and Sarah Flowers, who favors Obama. All right, now, it's close on this one, Sarah. It's close. I think both hurt both candidates. You would agree with that. Both gaffes hurt both candidates, correct?
They weren't great weeks, and I think mainly because it got them off message, but
Okay.
I do think Barack Obama came out better.
All right. Now, I disagree with you because of what happened last night in Chicago. Because the story doesn't go away. Well, the Hillary sniper story is gone. Gone. In the wind, not going to come back. But every time it goes anywhere and people are screaming, yay, it's great, it returns people to the story. You see what I'm talking about?
Sure, I see what you're talking about, but here's why Hillary's worse. What Hillary Clinton said came from her own mouth, and it went both to her likability and her credibility, which she's been walking around, which is saying, I'm the experienced one. And if the experience is getting flowers and kisses from 8-year-olds, that really doesn't say much about your foreign policy priorities. And I think that Barack Obama, while Reverend Wright may stay in the news, it's a non-starter with most voters, and that polling bears that out.
I don't know. Well, the polling is interesting, Mr. Epstein. I don't know if it's a non-starter with most voters. I think it may be a non-starter. I don't know where that came from with Democrats. But certainly, believe me, on talk radio, I can't get away from the story. I mean, it is crazy. And every time this guy shows up right, and they scream what a great guy he is, millions of Americans are going, what? How do you see it, Julian?
Well, I see this as certainly an issue that will stick around for a little while, unfortunately, because of Obama's detractors. I don't think it's hurt him that much with independents, and I don't think it's hurt him that much with Democrats, because, and anybody that's had any experience with crisis communications in politics will tell you this, because of the way he dealt with it. He dealt with it in a very forthright and honest fashion, and I think he won a lot of people's affections and even many of the doubters on it. And I think it was the way in which he dealt with this is why, at least in the short term, in terms of Democratic primary politics, this has not hurt him. The problem with Hillary Clinton's issue on the Bosnia sniper story, while I agree with you, it's a story that has shorter legs and will be around for a much briefer period of time. It was the way in which she dealt with it. What she should have said after it was discovered that her description was a little bit exaggerated, she should have come right out and said, look, it was not a place where you would take your family on vacation. It was a dangerous war zone, but I did exaggerate a little bit, and I think the issue would have been done. Instead, her campaign dug their heels in and tried to spin their way out of it. So it was the spin with which I think the campaign, really misserved the senator on Bosnia Cypher, which is herself.
Come on, Mr. Epstein.
Well, I think she misserved herself.
She had an opportunity. They asked her a follow-up question right after it, and they got in there, and she said, well, Sinbad's a comedian.
I think you're missing my point. I think the point is...
I'm not missing your point. You said it was her campaign not being up to snuff. It's her.
Bill, the point is that Obama dealt with the Jeremiah Wright issue. While, again, I agree with you that this issue has not gone away because detractors will try to use it against him, he dealt with this in a very honorable way. The Clinton campaign was perceived as trying to spin their way around the Bosnia sniper fire. So while it was a shorter story, I think it did more damage to her.
But you're missing my point. It wasn't the Clinton campaign trying to spin her. It was Hillary Clinton. And that's what it comes down to. Here's what it comes down to. Hillary
Clinton. That's actually a really important point.
Right. But here's what it comes down to on both people.
Look at her and think
let me define it.
This makes her more calculating.
Hillary Clinton is on people. 44% of Americans don't like her. And now this reinforces that. And that goes across party lines. So it's on her. It'll go away. But here's the deal, Ms. Flowers. Barack Obama is still unknown to most Americans. And this Wright thing keeps coming back and back and back. And while he did give a great speech, and everybody acknowledges the speech was good, he still has not defined, I don't think, clearly enough how he sees the Reverend, why he stands by the Reverend, how his wife sees the Reverend, and, you know, and it sticks in people's, it just sticks there as why is this guy being applauded, and it's all of that Barack Obama has anything to do with. You know, it's unfair to Barack Obama, but it sticks to him. It sticks to him.
I don't actually think it sticks to him. I think right now where the American public is they want to hear some solutions to real answers. We have 4,000 dead in Iraq. We have a failing economy, and John McCain basically saying he's not qualified on economic issues. I think the American people actually want to hear what Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton have to say on those two issues.
Well, then they better go on some tough venues and stop going on the Today Show where they're asking them if they like bowling or not. So don't give me Americans want to hear this, and this goes for both candidates. They avoid the tough venues. They don't go into places where they could define under very legitimate questioning how they feel about very important. So it's not the American people want, it's them. It comes back to them again. Mr. Epstein, I'm going to give you the last word.
But I think what you're hearing is that voters this distraction of Reverend Wright isn't actually about what matters to voters. And voters are looking, and maybe hungrily so, grasping for.
Mr. Epstein, take the last word real quick.
I think that Obama has dealt with the Wright controversy very well. I think it will stick around, unfortunately. I think superdelegates need to get involved right now because the campaign has taken on too negative of a turn.
Well, that's not going to happen until after Pennsylvania.
No, I think they could do it now, and I think they could insist that both candidates stay in the race. Michigan and Florida get revoted.
Not going to happen.
Stop the negative campaigning, and that the winner of the popular vote is the person who ought to be the nominee.
We appreciate you guys coming on.
Superdelegates ought to get engaged right now.
Thank you.
3 weeks from tonight, that'll be the tale, and we'll see what happens.